Hello, everybody. Good to see you. I am very, very happy to be back. We've missed a week or two, at least at Gilligan's Island, due to on and off issues, mostly with myself. And I appreciate your patience, and I hope everybody comes back tonight and sits back, enjoys, and has a good time along with Gorilla, Random Thoughts, and myself. Gorilla, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, even though I don't know how you can see me. I'm hiding
You're
behind
hiding.
some palm
I'm
trees.
behind the I'm behind the trees.
I
Well,
guess it's my natural habitat.
that is your natural habitat, right? Don't be
No,
surprised
usually
to
it's
know that
jungle trees. Usually it's jungle
you,
trees, not palm trees.
that's true. Well, you're a let's say that you're on vacation right now in the Florida because of
Oh, I
the cold
wish.
weather.
Oh, I
So do I.
wish.
I'll join you there, and we'll go to Universal, whatever it's called. I don't want to go to Disney World. Screw that place. But I'll go to Disney, Universal World, whatever Universal is there. They've got some pretty cool theme stuff. I'm not much of a Harry Potter fan, but there's a lot of other things there I'd love to see. But
I know, I'm a
I'm
big
glad.
Harry Potter fan, so they're
Oh, then that'd be great. What about Owen? I know your daughter's probably a little too young for that stuff, but
yeah. Owen likes Harry Potter and stuff.
you
He
guys would
hasn't
like
read
that
the
kind of
he
female.
hasn't read the books, but he's seen the movies.
Okay, cool. Maybe when he gets older, read the book. Hopefully, he's not the type that'll say, "Well, I already saw the movie. There's no sense in reading the book." Because obviously the books are written for kids, so that'd be something that'd be really good for him. And it's good to see you back. I know you've been a little off and on here with your internet issues, but I'm glad to
Yeah,
see you got that all resolved.
yeah.
And I've had medical issues, so I think I've got my. They've had me on a new medication here the past couple of weeks, and I figured out exactly when to take the medicine, how, and how it affects me, and I'm feeling much, much better. I've even actually been on a stream the past few days. I missed last night, unfortunately, everybody. I'm so sorry. The horror sci-fi stream, something came up and I had to go out of town. But I promise that moving forward, we will be doing in each one of our streams tonight. We're back with two, yes, count them, two episodes of Gilligan's Island, the classic from season three. And then Saturday I'll be back with another Rumblings from the Lab. So tonight, is there anything? Oh, I wanted to say hello. Obviously, how can I forget my good friends to the chat? Suzanne Eckstein. Suzanne, so good to see you. Suzanne says hello, Pop, and Suzanne says hello, Pop. Hello, Pop. I think there's an echo in here actually. Suzanne Eckstein says hello, Gorilla, and Lemon Pie
Hey,
says
Suzanne.
hey, fruitcakes. Says Lemon Pie. Hello,
Yeah.
Lemon Pie.
Hey, Scurvy.
And Suzanne says Lemon Pie. Hiya. And Suzanne says, my boy is the opposite. He would much rather read the book than watch the movies. That's beautiful. See, that's what I want to hear is more people promoting literacy. And Suzanne, actually, you sound better, Pop. Thank you. I feel better. My goodness, it's like had a couple of stream days that really took me out there, but maybe is what I took to get stronger. I actually ate dinner last night for the first time in a week, which was really good, and I ate lunch today, which is very rare. So I'm getting my strength back. I'm getting my voice back. I'm feeling better. Ola Greg is here. Hello, Ola Greg. Welcome, welcome. He says, hey, Suzanne. Hi,
Hey,
Pop.
hey, Ollie Greg. How's it going?
And Suzanne says, Ola Greg, hello. Ola Greg says, hello, everyone else here on Pop's Isle. Yes. So excited. Ola Greg says, you sound good, Pop. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. And like I said, I am feeling better. Um, I had to balance. Another thing too is balancing out my pain pills because certain combination of pain pills they gave me was really knocking me out. I was sleeping most of the time, and I hated that. I don't want to sleep my whole life away, and then it always made me sound really weak. But then I balanced it out with I picked up some ibuprofen at the store yesterday and stopped taking another medication. So I think I've got it just right to where I feel good. I feel better. I'm not in pain, but I'm not drowsy and tired and half out of my mind most of the time.
Oh, that's
And it
good.
says, "Oh wow, listen to the powerful voice, sweet. I was really worried about you the other day." Thank you, Suzanne. Yeah, that's when I was just coming back. Right, and my voice sounded really frail. I sound like 100-year-old man, and I do apologize for that. But tonight, hopefully, I can hold up a little bit better. So tonight we are back, like I said, with season 3 of Gilligan's Island. We are back in full force with 2 episodes. The first one is going to be from season 3, episode 7, "Man with a Net," and the
Yeah.
description is as follows: a famed butterfly collector comes to the island in search of the rare Pussycat Swallowtail, and the castaways try to help him find it, so he will shoot his flare gun and rescue them. And I love it that in fact we're getting Pussycat in our episodes twice in a week. Dr. Smith was bringing it up in Lost in Space Monday night as the venerable Zeno, the bad guy, and he kept calling people Pussycat. So it's nice to see here again. We get the word again. I always thought it was a funny 1960s nickname. It was really popular back then, and it wasn't an insult to anybody. It was um, it was part of the hippie. It was part of the hippie culture. I'll say the phrase of the hippie culture. Um, but yes, Man with the Net, and it originally premiered Monday, October 24th of 1966. Gorilla, is there anything you want to add before we get started with tonight's episode?
Well, I was gonna do shots every time they said Pussycat Swallowtail, but then I was like, oh crap, I gotta work tomorrow, and I got it's
Oh,
gonna be a slightly busy day tomorrow. We're down 2 people today, so things kind of got a little behind today.
well, I'm sorry to hear that. You definitely want to be of sound mind so you don't get in trouble.
I'll put it this way: I'm the soberest one there half the time. Well, that's a story for
Well,
a whole different time.
that sounds like it might be a fun working environment.
Oh, no piss test. So, all right, let's get on with this episode.
Let's get on with this episode. Exactly right. Okay, I'm getting it queued up now. All right, and size it up for us just right.
Uh,
There we are. All
yeah,
right,
I
and
yeah with this Lord Beasley there. I was actually as I was watching this, I was like, how the heck has this guy survived this long? The way this guy was in this episode, how's he survived that long?
as far as what? How is he
Well,
what?
well, he doesn't pay attention to nothing except butterflies.
Oh, yes.
Like
He's a kind of
absolutely
like an air.
nothing.
Yeah, kind of like an airhead, I guess, right? Or what is that term?
A numbskull?
Aloof, 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 aloof. I don't know if you ever heard of that term before, but I think that pretty much describes what kind of person he is.
I
And here we
haven't
are
heard
with
that.
our opening. What's that?
I have never heard that term before.
Oh, what was it you were thinking?
Uh, now I can't even remember.
Oh, that's not important. Okay, let me get my subtitles up. So we got subtitles. We can't do without those, can we?
Nope.
All right, and we open up with our heroes. Yes, I'm so happy to be back for Gilligan's Island. And I wish we could play this song now. I wish we could all sing along. If YouTube wasn't such a pain in the butt.
And Suzanne says she'll be right back.
Okay, so
And
Stan, we'll be here when you get back.
Oiler Greg says, "Acres away, the
That's
howls are
right.
aloof."
Owls are aloof. So we get our opening shot of the lagoon. Producer, writer, director. And it looks like we have somebody taking a nap on the beach. And it looks like we
Hey,
immediately start
hey,
with.
can you go back to that shot real quick? That is either one very worn out moth or someone did a little extra snipping on it, or a
I don't.
butterfly.
I'm guessing it might be a prop. I think that maybe that they made it to look like a butterfly.
Yeah, because they got some like slight holes in the wings and stuff.
Yes, that might be like a design choice, but yeah, I don't think it's a real butterfly. I think it's maybe made out of paper or something. I think it's a mechanical little uh, prop.
Did they have motors that small to fly a butterfly?
Yes,
Okay, because I know this is the '60s, and
or
uh,
or it could have been because if you're thinking about like remote control, let me go back here. It could have been a little wire that's running through the hat that all you got to do is just pull the wire and it makes the wings move. That would be something really simple. Does that make sense?
yeah. Oh,
All right. And here we have the introduction to this week's. Now it's not a bad guy. He's not a bad guy. He's not an antagonist. But let's just say this island visitor this week, the great John MacGyver. This guy also, I know you've heard us say this before about other people on our shows that we cover, but a very prolific actor at the time. He was a stock contract player hired by the studio, so he would often pop up in many TV shows and movies at the time. He was in Bewitched. He was in Twilight. One of my favorite Twilight Zones, A Tale of Sound and Silences. Really great episode. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. I, Jimmy Genie, Gilligan's Island, you name it. If it was in the '60s, he was in there. And in real life, he was obviously an actor, as you know, but he was also a professor and a linguist. And he was very, very masterful at the English language. So we're going to notice here as we're watching this episode, there's going to be a couple times where the English language is really going to pop out. And it's almost as if we have Jonathan Harris on the show. So what you're going to hear are a few times where you're going to hear some pretty elaborate words. And when you do, you know that's probably his additions to the script. Because I'm guessing when they hired him, he was well known in Hollywood. So they said, okay, we got John MacGyver here. And he was probably like, okay, well, I'd like to add this word or correct that word. And because he was very stipulative. They said that anybody, if you ever worked with him on a television set, I don't mean like a television set, but I mean like on a studio set. If you ever worked with him, that he was always a stickler for words and he wanted to make sure that everything was pronounced correctly. He wasn't mean, he was a very nice guy, but he was like having like I said, an English professor around. So, without further ado, and it looks like he's hunting for butterfly, and it looks like he caught one, unfortunately, along with Gilligan's head. But I think it
well,
did get
that
away,
thing that thing took off just in time.
right? Because if you look, you'll see it right below his right hand. So just as right, as soon as he swooped down with the butterfly net, the butterfly was able to get away, and you can see it right below the I'm going to say the professor's right hand. I don't want to get it confused with the professor on the show, but he's a bird watcher, and we'll get a little
Uh,
more. We'll get to know him a little more during the episode.
yeah, not a
Go ahead,
bird watcher,
Gorilla.
a butterfly enthusiast,
Butterfly
and
enthusiast. Yes.
his name is Lord Beasley.
Lord Beast. That's it. I couldn't remember. Thank you. So he's just a rich.
Yeah,
Uh, he's rich, so he doesn't actually work, but he's
yeah,
just fulfilling his hobby.
yeah. And welcome the man of many words, sir, Cody guy. Welcome, welcome. And Suzanne
Hello,
says it
Cody
just
guy.
makes sense.
What's that?
And Suzanne says it does make sense.
Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you. And I'm glad you're back. And hello, Cody guy. Welcome. So glad to see you. And here we
Yeah,
got a great shot of Gilligan, unfortunately not knowing what's going on, doesn't know what hit him. And the Lord Beasley is all he's concerned about is what happened to his butterfly.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
Gilligan, of course, is immediately surprised. He's like, "Who is this guy?"
yeah.
And Gilligan starts to run for basically the rest of the castaways to say, "Hey, there's somebody else on the island."
Yeah. And notice he lost his hat when he was getting dragged away by the net, but now he has his hat.
Now he has his hat. Yes, he did manage to get it back. And then here he is, with Skipper. Hey, Skipper, what is it? There's a
Yeah.
man with a net on this island. He's telling them, and then of course Skipper said there should be a man on with his net. No, Skipper, really, I mean minding my own business fishing. So here's as at least we didn't spend a lot of time with Skipper trying to tell Gilligan he doesn't know what he's talking about because immediately Skipper is also introduced to Lord Beasley, who stumbles into the campsite.
Yeah.
And as you can see, Skipper is also flabbergasted.
Yeah. Hey, welcome, Pickles. Welcome, welcome.
Hello, hello, Pickles. So good to see you. And I'm really sorry. I heard you already deleted your stream from last night. I was hoping to watch that again tonight. But thank you for once again for having Mr. CCDV and myself on there. It was a great stream. Here they are. They're trying to excuse themselves and figure out who this guy is, but he's just too busy watching butterflies.
Yeah. Like he's solely obsessed with them.
Yes, he's a great character actor. Everything he ever did, fell right into the role, and he fit it immensely. He was also known as playing aloof in other things. So the way he's acting here, where he doesn't know what's going on around him, that was quite common in a lot of the characters he portrayed. One thing I recognized not recognized, but I'll shout out that he was in was the classic comedy "Who's Minding the Store" with Jerry Lewis, where Jerry Lewis had to work at a department store, and this was the owner of the store. He was like the rich guy way upstairs, and he was aloof, just like in here. And all he did was play miniature golf up there. He had like a miniature golf game where he would just shoot golf all the time. But it's
uh,
a good, funny, hilarious, classic comedy movie. Who's Minding the Store? It's got the great Agnes Moorehead in it. Oh, I love her.
is it a movie or TV show?
Movie called Who's
Oh,
Minding the Store? If it's got Jerry Lewis in it, it's most likely a movie. Here's what they're saying. Who are you? And he's just talking about the butterfly he's chasing, the Pussycat Swallowtail.
yeah. I was gonna take a shot every time they said "Pussycat Swallowtail." But yeah, it's getting weird. They say it. I think they say it at least 10 times.
They do. They say it a lot.
Yeah.
Uh, and I was telling Bird backstage, everybody, Pussycat's a common phrase from the 1960s that the hippies and the counterculture used to use. A lot of time, like now, when you have a couple, like let's say a man and a woman, let's say, I don't know, let's say they're young, they're dating in their 20s or so, and they call themselves honey, sweetheart, dear, that kind of stuff. Well, back in the 60s, pussycat was a term that people used to use for other people. And like I said, it wasn't a derogatory term. It was just something that people used to say, hey, pussycat. It was almost a compliment. And it was also in the title of the great movie, What's Up, Pussycat? Starring, oh, we were just talking about this the other night on the stream. Peter, oh, it'll come to me. My mind is drawing a blank. But What's Up, Pussycat? Starring Peter Sellers. That's right, Peter Sellers. And I think it may have had this guy in it too. He was in a lot of 60s movies and TV shows, a lot. Another thing with the Pussycat Swallowtail, and he says the only butterfly that escaped Lord Beasley.
Yeah.
And that's where we get an introduction, and they ask, "Who are you?" And he says, "I'm Lord Beasley." And this is, as you could tell from that last shot, you could tell it's not exactly a real butterfly. So they had the prop makers make up butterflies of different assortment and colors for the show.
Uh,
And of course, they want to know how he got on the island.
Oh, by boat, naturally. I'm sorry.
Right. There it is. And that's what he tells him, of course. No surprise. By Jove, that might be one over there.
I still gotta get used to those English words. Yeah, the music that was at the very beginning of the episode?
Yes.
I swear I've heard that used on other episodes or other shows.
Oh, I didn't think about it as I listened to it. It's very possible.
Yeah,
Very
no,
possible.
no, that whole little flute, little recorder sound music that they had at the beginning of the episode there. I swear I've heard that on multiple different shows.
You mean episodes of this or different shows?
Different shows.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, because
Maybe it was a form of stock music, huh?
or well, it could have also been CBS shows too. They had license to it.
That's true. Now here's where you get a better look, and especially now, thank goodness, to high definition. That is a wonderful design, a beautiful butterfly, and if you look, it looks like it's clearly made out of feathers. So I think that may be their little secret of how they made these butterflies. They're out of bird feathers.
Okay. Oh, when they're making these shows, they knew how high definition the TVs would be. So
Yes. Well, they didn't know they'd be as high as they are now, but they knew they would be at least be clear enough where it didn't look, really too fake, like like maybe out of
no,
paper or something.
no, but they made these for the TVs of the time,
Yes.
just like the guy that made the one console there. I can't remember if it's TG or Voyager, but he made a console there that had the Gilligan's Island theme song on it. He never thought they just put words in. He just put the theme song in there because he never thought TVs would be clear enough that you'd be able to read what was on that console.
Have you found that episode? Do you know which one it is?
Uh, I can
If you
find it
ever
here.
if you ever find it, please do so. That'd be great if you could share that with us. You said it was
This,
a Star Trek, right?
yeah.
Without getting copyright from Paramount. You know how dastardly those little villains are.
Oh, I can get you a picture.
So Lord Beasley tells them that if you help me capture this certain butterfly, I will rescue you all and take you back home with me. So that's why they're all excited, and that's what Professor's saying. Collect those butterflies. Perhaps if we all start looking and help him collect the butterfly, he'll catch it even faster. And now they're talking here where he meets the Howls. And even the Howls are impressed by his wealth because they say he's so wealthy he has monogrammed contact lenses. When you think about it, that's kind of hilarious because that would be scratching your eye. But only something richly over the top would somebody do something like that. But I thought that was a really hilarious joke. Another talking about his hat that he's wearing, a pith helmet.
Well, they were talking about that one. Well, they're asking who he was with, if they met him before, and they're talking about some guy who did outfit outfit hunting in Africa. I can't remember the guy's name though.
You're right, and I can't remember either. And it looks like he's so focused on catching that butterfly that he accidentally steps into quicksand. Still hasn't noticed though. Notice how he's still looking for that bird, for that butterfly, and he's sinking in the quicksand. But here comes Mr. and Mrs. Howe to the rescue. Never mind me. After that butterfly, of course, that's how he. All he cares about is the butterfly. But of course, they know better, and they're going to save him. And now he's got the girls with him helping him. Obviously, this is shot against a blue screen, not a sky. But obviously, they're in a on a sound stage and on a set, and that's a blue screen. But he fell, and the girls say, "Oh, I can't look." But of course, there he is. Hurry, hurry! He went that way. And of course, all he is concerned with the butterflies. And now we have later on the castaways are all together. And they're soaking their feet because they're so sore because they've been following him around all day trying to catch butterflies. And they're trying to figure out ways to catch it. And they
Okay,
know
it
the
was on.
world.
Yeah, it was on Voyager, but I cannot find the thing that was on. Is Garrick Wang was given a tour of the Voyager set as a promotional thing.
Oh, so it was like a behind the scenes thing.
Yeah, but it was spotted in actually in one of the episodes, but I cannot remember which episode it was. I can't
That's
find
too
it right now.
bad. Well, we've got a lot of Star Trek geeks out there listening right now. If you guys remember, please fill us in so that we could show it here. That would be really fun. So until he catches that butterfly, says the professor, none of us are going anywhere.
Yeah.
Now it looks like
Now,
Beasley's got all his gears with him. Go ahead.
now in one of the syndicated versions, I think this was edited out there. Yes, in the Me TV version, this was edited out of the syndicated version.
This part that we're looking at right now.
Yeah, but the TV Land and IFC versions had this episode.
So what was Me TV? Let me guess. Their excuse was running time, right? They wanted to cut it out to add more commercials.
I have absolute probably more than likely.
Yeah, of course. I mean, there is no other excuse,
Got-
which is very despicable. That's why once again, everybody,
Yeah,
we recommend physical media. Everybody,
yeah,
buy this. It's not that expensive. You can get the entire set of Gilligan's Island on Blu-ray for a really good price.
yeah. Because TV Land and IFC also they cut out Ginger's visit, but they keep Mr. Howell's because I'm guessing because the way it was, which we'll show. But then BTV kept it, edited out Mr. Howell's visit, and the scuba visit, but kept Ginger's visit.
You see, a lot of sense that makes, right? That is
What?
foolish. A lot of sense that makes.
Yeah.
And we have it looks like Gilligan and Skipper doing our Batman and Robin walk,
It,
which
I
of
would have
course, as we
changed
know,
this. I will make a slight
right,
change to this scene. I
how's
will
that?
put the yodeling. I will put yodeling music on it as they're climbing up. Yodeling, yodeling, yodeling. But then the Price is Right would probably grab them.
Price is right.
The
Oh,
Price is Right
okay.
had
I'm
a scene
sorry.
that had exactly like the Price is Right had a game that was similar to this, where with the climbing mountain man, and every time it went up, it played the yodeling,
Yeah, I
yodeling.
remember. This was before Price is Right. Remember,
Yeah, I didn't know when
For
Price is Right started. I know it.
late
Yeah, I know it
'70s.
was. Oh, was it late 70s? I was thinking
Mid to
late
late
'60s, early
'70s.
'70s.
No,
Okay, so I'm gonna check it up.
at this time here, in the 1960s, either Bob Barker hadn't started yet, or he was doing Truth or Consequences. But I think it was even before Truth or Consequences, which was before Price is Right. I remember what game you're talking about, but
Yeah.
I do remember the game.
Yeah, but I will laugh so hard if they will just play the yodeling hee hoo, yodeling hee hoo.
So here's where but back then they wouldn't have understood that because that hadn't been shown before.
Okay,
But go ahead.
so that's just looking at this with rose-colored glasses, then, because I've seen stuff since then. I'm looking at this
Yes.
6 years later.
Well, yeah, right. Then you've seen Price is Right, which is totally fine. But for me, what this reminds me of is the Batman series from the 1960s, where we would see Batman and Robin walking along the side of a building hunting a bad guy. And it's funny because they're actually on a regular ground, a regular flat ground, but they just slightly tilt the camera slightly at an angle to give it this appearance like they're climbing the mountain. So that's the reason why we get it like this. So sorry to spoil it, kids, but it's not actually Skipper and Gilligan climbing a mountain. They're just walking on, it's a flat ground and they've got the camera tilted. Something with wings
Yeah,
is
see
flying
right
up
there.
ahead.
Yeah, right there. That image doesn't that give me the Price is Right image right there with Lord
Well,
Beasley?
yeah, it looks similar. Yes, it does look similar. I think what they're
And
trying to
Suzanne says, "Yeah,
go ahead.
no, go ahead, go ahead,
Well, I
no,
was
go
just
ahead." I
gonna
was just
say
gonna read some
the way he
chats.
was the way he was dressed. I think they were trying to portray Switzerland because I think those are the ones that are known to yodel is the term. Anyway, go ahead. If you could read, yeah. By the way, if you could read the chats, I really appreciate it, Gorilla. Thank you.
Yeah, Suzanne says, "Yes, I enjoyed that stream last night, LDG." Well, I was wanting to watch it, but by the time I was getting to click on it, by the time because Bird went to stream this morning there, so when I came back, moved back to go find it, there, it was gone. So thanks, LDG. Yeah,
Yeah, I think Bird did say that he saw it on a rerun, so I think it was up for a while, perhaps.
I was up for quite a while, but I was listening to Bird's stream today, so I didn't. So it's like listen to Bird live. And Suzanne says, "I remember that show. You're talking about
Yeah,
that one there." She goes, "Tom Jones, what's up, Pussycat? What's up,
that's it. He
Pussycat?
sang the
Whoa,
song, right? It was a
whoa."
comedy movie, and right, Tom Jones was the sang it, and Peter Sellers was the star of the movie. And the more I think about it,
Yeah,
I think John MacGyver was in it.
yeah. And welcome Taylor Swift, greater than Disney, Star Wars, and MCU.
Hail, hello Taylor Swift. Good to see you. Glad you could join us. Hello.
Yeah. Oh, that's all the chats.
Oh, okay. That's what I was wondering. Thank you. So how we have Mr. and Mrs. Howell, and of course there's upset because once first of all we know that the Howells are not used to any kind of labor or strenuous activities, but they are definitely not happy with the fact that they spend all this time looking for the butterfly and still have yet to find one. So they know that they're still not going to get out that island. Our rescue seems so near and yet so far. And of course, they're trying to figure out another way to try to influence Lord Beasley. And obviously, they talk about giving him money, but they're saying, oh, he's so rich, he doesn't want money. All he wants is that butterfly.
Yeah. Now, now here's the thing here. Do you ever notice that it's always their impatience that screws up their rescues?
A lot of times, well, think about it. If you and I were on an island for 2 or 3 years, wouldn't we be impatient? I mean, as soon as they step foot off the island, we would be grabbing them and putting them right back on their boat and say, let's go. And they would be like, well, can't
Well,
we look around for a little while? No, you just take us home and then you can come back and spend all the time you want.
well, like take that mosquitoes episode that we had here not too long ago.
Right.
There with the
Exactly.
mosquito band, they said we're going to stay on this island for a month to relax and rest. Now I would have left them alone. I was like, I've been here long If I could handle being here another month, I wouldn't nothing to
Language.
even try to antagonise. So, what did I
Watch
say?
the language. Oh, I thought you said
I
the
didn't
F
think
word.
I said anything.
Okay,
No,
that's
I
okay.
said
Sorry, I
no,
apologize.
no, no. I've
Go
been
ahead.
here long enough. I'd leave them alone just so I had no way of screwing it up and then leaving me behind because it's behind.
Oh, I totally agree. I'm not disagreeing with you. I definitely agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I understand. I can understand why they would be so anxious.
All right. But
And here's
you
where
know
we
this
get a
map
very
here?
yes, we have seen the map before. This is our second appearance, right?
Oh, this map here, you notice a mistake?
Please, please fill us in
Look, look at which way the lagoon's going out. That little channel in the lagoon's going out.
to the
Now, every
left.
time yeah, it's going counterclockwise. Every time we see out into the lagoon, it's always going clockwise.
I think so. I think you're right because it does curve around. Because like if you're in the lagoon and you're looking out towards the ocean, we can't see the ocean because it curves around. So yeah, you could be right. You could be right. But I do like the fact that that's a pretty elaborate representation of the island. I think that's very cool. I would have loved to have a
Yeah,
poster of that on my wall. Now we
yeah.
get even better look as we get closer.
Oh, I better pull up the inflation calculator. This
Pull
is
up your inflation calculator.
67. This is 67 or 68?
Good question. What was it I said earlier? 66.
This is 66?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So we got Mr. Howell trying to bribe him there.
Absolutely. When am I trying to bribe you? Well, that sort of was a disappointment.
Oh,
Sorry, I'm
oh.
having to skip through the text once again. Everybody, you guys know we
All
can't
right.
read all the text or we'll get a
Uh,
copyright warning from YouTube. So the best we could
all right.
do is put the text on the screen so that you all can enjoy it at home. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'll happily pay you $100,000, which is $957,796 today. Then he's like,
Which is not nothing,
200?
not bad at all. Nothing to shake a stick at. I
Yeah.
would take that.
Yeah. Yeah. $200,000? What? That's 1,915,592 bucks. I'd happily 300,000,
Yes, exactly right.
which is
Same here.
which is 2,873,388 bucks. Said today's buddy.
Pretty
Then he's like,
sweet.
man, can't you at least give me the courtesy of paying attention when I'm trying to bribe you? Oh,
And Ginger looking beautiful as ever.
yeah.
And of course,
And,
each castaway is going to come in and try to find their way to bribe him to get him leave off the island, and he won't have anything of it. He's focused on those butterflies,
and
and he's
if he could,
plotting out. Go ahead.
yeah, if he can ignore Ginger in this scene here, he's gonna have no hairs to his butterfly collection.
That's exactly right.
Oh,
And of course, she's talking to him. He's not even listening to her. It's like she's not even there.
then starts swatting a B-way. And welcome PvP. He says hi,
Hail
Papa Gorilla.
PvP. Hail PvP.
And
Good to see you and welcome.
yeah, PvP says Gorilla got his internet back. And
Yes, he
says, Pop,
did.
you sound good today.
Thank you, PvP. I am feeling better. Appreciate that. And
Yeah.
if you guys remember my Monday when we did Lost in Space, I was still tweaking that overlay. And if you remember over on the left hand side where our avatars are, it was covering the very bottom one. Remember, at first we could not see Stone Racket. So I moved him up higher so that I was on the bottom and my face was blocked instead. Well, I worked on that today, guys. So, like I said in the beginning when I first introduced these overlays, it would be a little tweaking over the weeks, which is exactly what I'm doing. So, next week when we come back with Lost in Space, I think it'll be much better an improvement. I think you guys will be happy. And of course, can you imagine that? He shoos, of all people, Ginger away. Poor thing. And Professor actually, and this I thought was extremely funny. Of all people, the professor is having to learn how to speak to Lord Beasley because he's not familiar with bird technology. Of all things on the earth, we finally found something that he is not an expert in.
Yeah.
And all the
Now I
professor
would
wants to
have
do is convince. Go ahead.
I would change this up here because we'll see in the scene coming up right after she suggests his crib notes to him. So he writes everything down and he's following him there in this next scene here with the crib notes there. Instead, I will have had him. I will have had like Ginger sneaking up behind, or like Marianne sneaking up behind him. And every time he would say something, I have Professor quickly grab her out, grab the book, look at it, and then hand it back to Marianne. Instead of looking at his palm, because to me that will seem a lot more realistic, a lot funnier than with the crib
Oh
notes
yeah,
thing.
that's a good idea. Yeah, that's a good idea. Definitely. And doing all the different things here, and of course, the professor, like Gorilla is saying, he's just copying what he just recently learned. So a lot of what he's doing is gibberish, and he doesn't even know what he's saying anyway.
Well, and heck, I don't even know how he would know what to he would write on the crib notes to aid with his conversation with Lord Beasley.
Well, like he says here, this it was Lord Beasley's book that he read to study up for this.
Yeah, no, but at least then with Marianne, it'd be like she's flipping to the page in the background unseen. You know,
Oh yeah,
that's
that's
where
true.
that,
Yes.
that change would make a
Oh,
lot more sense.
so you're saying that if the professor would have had the book in his hands instead of having everything memorized, right?
Right, right, right. Just she quickly
Yeah.
like all of a sudden, like you just see a hand handing him the book. With the right
Yes.
page already picked out.
Right. A hand from hiding behind the bushes, right? Imposter. See, this is what I was talking about with the English language, where even the professor is surprised by the language. And I think that was a suggestion by the actor John MacGyver. I'm going to mention again, by the way, it's going to get old, but once again, I recommend the classic Twilight Zone episode of Sound and Silences with him in it. It's a very good episode, and it's borderline comedy. It's actually a very funny Twilight Zone episode, very poignant and very haunting. And I recommend it. I can't recommend it enough. And now, as we're saying, to fire out that flare gun, have, his efforts to get the thing is Beasley has a flare gun. They know that. All he wants to do is get that butterfly, as we've established. But as we know, the castaways don't care about the butterfly. They want to get off the island. So they're trying to convince the Lord Beasley that, hey, even if you don't want to leave right now, will you at least fire off your flare gun so the boats will come and get us? So that's why the professor was frustrated because that plan fell through because he couldn't get the Beasley to fire the flare gun. The man is obviously a mental case, says Mr. Howell. There must be something we can do to get him to fire that flare. Of course, Gilligan tried to come up with ideas, but they're telling him, Gilligan, quiet, please. The question is, what can we do? By the way, remind everybody, if you enjoy this, please consider hitting the like button. So that lets us know that you want to see more shows like this in the future. And if you haven't done so, maybe consider subscribing to my channel. And if you're watching this on a rerun, I hope you enjoy it and please come back. You'll see a lot more like this as well as other amazing, exciting, and sometimes hilarious content. Maybe we could hypnotize them. Here they are coming up with all these different crazy ideas. And they can think that we're all Pussycat Swallowtail, says Ginger.
Yeah,
Well, why don't we, Gilligan? Go ahead.
well, she wanted to hypnotize them. That's the context we're missing there. And
Yes,
Gilligan just wants to fire off the flare gun.
exactly right. Gilligan, I'm going to tell you for the last time. Will you be quiet? Flare gun? What flare gun? Here's where they finally listen to Gilligan.
Yeah.
Gilligan, where
Too
did you get that?
too bad that a certain someone didn't make a mistake in season one there and blew up all their flares.
Right, because yeah, they had a whole bunch of equipment and supplies, but sorry, yeah, somebody accidentally made a mistake. I wonder who that could possibly be.
I have absolutely no idea who could have possibly made a blunder that bad.
I gotta let my dog down for a second. I'll be right back.
All right, so PvP says ginger equals beauty equals exotic equals hot equals love. I'm still a Marianne fellow there, but she did good in this episode there. And Euler Greg says cheers. Then PvP says pop as long as you're tweaking and not twerking, it's all good. All right, so that's all. Oh, by the way, people, I do got to pull up on my channel. If after the stream, you guys can go vote on it. And right now, we got a two-way tie for next Sunday's watch party. Which franchise we should start? Oh,
Oh, Prick Hill, I'm sorry I missed the first part of that. What was this?
well, I got to pull on which franchise we're gonna start watching next Sunday. On my channel right now, it's tied with
Oh,
Lord of the Rings and Super Troopers.
a series?
Well, franchise there. Like we got the Lord of the Rings trilogy,
Oh,
or
franchise.
we can watch the two Super Troopers movies.
Super Trooper. Okay, gotcha. All right, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody, so we hear that. Check out Gorilla's Random Thoughts on his channel and give him your input, and that'll let him know. That's how we do our streams. We follow along with what you guys want to see, and that way we know you'll be entertained, and then we know we'll all have a good time. So we always encourage you to vote whenever we put out a poll. Is that all for the chat?
Yeah, we're all caught up there. That's what I
Thank
did. That
you.
that's why I did that shameless plug while we're waiting for you to come back.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. So you thought you could flatter and cajole and trick me into breaking my vow, says Lord Beasley. He overheard them, by the way, as they were all conniving and trying to figure out how to get that flare gun.
See, this is where I was thinking. What's the polite way of saying it? Where he was just being a pain, maybe.
Sure.
Yeah, maybe that's the polite
Pain
way
in the
of
neck.
saying.
Pain in the
Yeah.
neck.
Well, by tempting him with a flare gun when he knows they're trying to get off the island, he already knows they're trying to get off the island
Yes.
just by tempting. No, they could have easily just went and jumped him to go steal the flares from him.
That's true, but our dear lovable castaways would never do such an underhanded, dastardly thing.
Mhm.
And that's what he's chastising them. And he's talking about how they build up friendship based on mutual trust. And they actually do feel bad. Hold on, my dogs. But they actually do feel bad because even our castaways we know are not bad like that, and they feel terrible. And that, they even tried to. The thing is Lord Beasley, you guys, I forgot to mention here, his character is British in here, so he has a British accent. So that's what Mr. Howell was trying to bring up about how their countries had resolved their issues. And then now Lord Beasley says, in spite of what happened in 1776. Now hear this: we shall stay on this island until we catch that butterfly. It takes forever. Good night. And now we have the next day, and it looks like we have our squadron of butterfly catchers. Of course, there they are whispering among each other. Remind you, unless we catch that butterfly, he's a regular Captain Bligh, says Skipper. No talking in the ranks. That's funny to see Skipper taking orders from someone else. Troops, attention. Left face. And of course, they're not very good at taking orders. That's a shoddy platoon there. Of course, they're getting their next nets mixed up. Sorry about that. My dogs are they always seem to
No.
seek a lot of attention right when I get these streams started. Fascinating, isn't it? You'd almost think they want to hog the camera for themselves.
Maybe they just want you to make shorts of your dogs.
Maybe that's exactly it. They want me to make more shorts so they can go out there and pose.
Yeah.
And he reminds them it is now, it looks like they are finished with another hard day's work of hunting down butterflies. And it's now precisely 1700 hours. And Gorilla, do you know what time that is in real time, regular time?
Oh, let's see. 5 o'clock.
That is correct. Thank you. That is 5 o'clock on the 24-hour clock, everybody.
On Zulu time.
And then resume our search at precisely 1730 hours. So just as they were thinking the day's over, he's like, nope, you're just going to take a half-hour break, and then we'll resume in a half hour.
Yeah. And they're complaining. Oh, I'm half an inch shorter because I wore out my shoes. I'm an inch taller because of my blisters.
And he goes on with continued fortitude and resolution. It is only a question of time before we collapse from heat prostration. And look what we have here. That's it. That's the Pussycat Swallowtail, he says. And he goes to swoop up Gilligan. Unfortunately, hapless Gilligan, who had dozed off, doesn't know what's going on. And scares off. There's the butterfly there, as you can see. And they all go chasing after him. What did I do? What did I do? Says Gilligan, not aware, because, like I said, he was half asleep. And we have later that evening, and Gilligan asks Skipper what he's doing, and he says, "Look, looks exactly like the Pussycat Swallowtail in the professor's book." So Skipper's actually thinking that if he paints a fake butterfly, that the professor will fall for it. Oh, sorry, Lord Beasley will fall for it. And even the professor asks him, "What are you doing?" And I think the little devil likes it. It won't work, says the professor. It says it basically in never in a million years will he fall for that.
well, yeah.
Go ahead.
If you've never seen one before, do you think they could get by with it if you've never seen one before?
Well, they said it was in his book, so he has seen it before. That's what
Oh,
they said. Does it look like the one in the book? Because they said it looks exactly like the one in the book. You think he'll fall for it? And remember, the book was supposedly written by Professor Lord Beasley.
Lord Beasley.
Oh, it's a Saturnae Lexipus, if I ever saw one, he said. So they called him in, and this is what it is? Yes. And we'll all be rescued. And they're asking him to take a look at this. In a moment, in a moment. I'd like to examine this beauty more closely, he says. And he takes it with him out in the rain, as you can notice there. It looks like they're getting a little bit of a lightning storm with some rain. Sure are good painters, huh, Skipper? And what I tell you, who is this Picasso and Rembrandt? Ho ho. Rain seems to have turned your butterfly white.
into a into a common mouth. I thought it was. I thought it was
Yeah,
common mouth.
Well, he does. That's what he says. That is what he says. So basically, we took it out in the rain. It washed all the paint off of it. What we find out is just a large moth.
What are the chances of getting a rainstorm on a tropical island right when they're walking outside with the
Exactly,
butterfly?
exactly.
Ugh. Oh, it sounds like you got your local train coming through.
Yeah, I apologize, guys. It looks like our local choo choo is going hello, hello.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I don't get to listen to trains, so they
You
took
don't
our
get to listen
railroad.
to the trains.
Yeah, they took our railroad tracks out here. Oh, at least a good 50 years ago.
Well, that's
But
good because you know how many cities that I've been in where when the tracks are no longer used, they just leave them in there anyway, and they're in the ground
well,
for year after year after year. I mean, I see that all the time.
they took them out when they redid all the roads and stuff. That, but they let up right up to
Good.
the elevator there. But they still do got one of the old railroad bridges going over the creek there. I showed Owen underneath of it where it's starting to crumble apart. It's not a road or nothing. It's grassed over and stuff on top. But
Oh, okay.
I showed him underneath what the underneath of the railroad track bridge looked like. The We used to hang out there quite a bit when we were kids when we were heading up to one of our friends' places or whatever. Or when we were walking home from school, we'd always go underneath. I don't know how many cigarettes I smoked underneath that bridge. No,
It's probably a popular hangout for kids. You're in that area.
not really. Like we're the only ones that I ever seen hang out there, but eh,
Yeah.
well, it was a creek and a bridge, so
Oh, okay. And now what they're doing is they're actually concocting a drink, and dare I say, alcoholic, to hopefully that'll sway Lord Beasley. And remember, act very casual, as they say, as they start drinking. And
hey,
remember
hey,
also that the proper way to drink tea, and this is how it demonstrates, is with
yeah.
your little pinky extended thusly.
All right.
And of
All
course,
right.
anybody who's a fan of the Three Stooges knows this routine. Go
Yeah.
ahead, sorry.
So I'd like to say welcome to Cam's Crash Courses.
Hey, Cam Cam, hello, hello. Good to see you
Yeah.
again.
All right. All right. And so they're coming back. Now you think if they have the possibility to make alcohol? You think you're being stuck on the island for that many years? I would have been making a lot of alcohol over the years.
I would get, yeah, I have to admit, I would probably turn to enjoying it very much, especially with that unlimited supply of fruit that they have. Can you imagine all the different wonderful drinks you can make?
Well,
Orange
not
juice,
only
pineapple juice, I mean, all this fancy stuff.
and really, that stuff wouldn't probably be nearly as bad as the stuff we have like in the stores now. This would be all natural alcohol, so it could probably be a good disinfectant. Not only that there'd be hardly any all that artificial stuff gone, you know.
Yes, exactly. I
But
agree.
in this scene here, do you recognize the mistake
Well,
that
I
we
know
might
what
get?
what's that?
Well, you remember what was it? Night, the one with the cosmonauts. Not yet.
Not yet, yet. I know what you're talking about. NYET. Yes, yeah, I remember that episode.
Yeah. Remember when the professor says he's allergic to alcohol?
I believe so. I believe so.
Yeah. But yet he's drinking in this
Not
episode.
anymore, huh?
Yeah.
I wonder if they made like a substitute for those that don't drink. That way they kind of snuck it in there. So you know, like if you and I were sitting around the table and you said, "Well, I want more of that," and I say, "Well, I don't want to drink, or I'm allergic to booze, or I can't for some reason." I would say, but let's make some pineapple juice so that I could use that.
Well,
But of
I'm
course, I
surprised.
just go ahead.
Well, I'm surprised they didn't do that to a couple of them there, but they that would have explained everybody passing out. Lord Beasley, Be, everybody passing out then in the next scene.
True, which we will be seeing, guys. Yes, and but I want to point out what I like here. This is interesting. Is very rare. You'll see on Gilligan's Island, Mr. Howell wearing a regular everyman's suit. So he looks very different. This is very casual for Mr. Howell. He's not wearing his Hawaiian t-shirts, but he's not really dressed up to the nines like he usually is, like a millionaire. He's doing this as part of this act that they're putting on in front of Lord Beasley. And I thought that was kind of cool. So that now here's where they're having the fake toast to get Lord Beasley to drink. Long may his butterfly net wave, they say.
Yeah.
How sporting of you.
Can we catch up on chat real quick?
Please, yes, thank you.
All right. Oh, Greg says spider in the corner is an awesome touch. There, that little spider you have there in front of your overlay. Then he said, "Lost in
Sorry.
space." PvP says, "Lost in space spider. Oh, the pain, the pain."
Beware, beware, guys.
And
You may
Cam
encounter
Cam
a spider.
Cam says hi to everybody here. Well, he says hi to us and to us. So, and PvP says we used to have a rail system all through the valley back in the 60s and 70s. They'd run through my town every day. Cool. And
But yeah,
Cam say hi.
that's what I was going to say about the train. I like it because I've lived in towns where, or areas where the train is so loud that you can't sleep every time, like in the night I'm talking about when it comes through town and it's so loud it wakes everybody up. You can't sleep until it finally leaves. But here where I live, the train is just far away enough to where it sounds pleasant, but it doesn't disturb you. So I really do enjoy that. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, Cam says PvP says hi to PvP. Oh, Greg, say hi. And Cam says plenty of juice for mixers on the island. Yes, there is. All right. They're all caught up.
Thank you, sir. Drink up, drink up. When Beasley drinks, everybody drinks.
Everybody drinks.
Now, of course, as you can see, the way they're looking at it, it looks like Mr. Howell is about ready to be under the table. Skipper's barely holding out, but what's Lord Beasley doing? Oh, he's ready to go out and search for more butterflies.
Well, he finds it.
Right? And they said we searched everywhere, but yeah, but let's not that. Let's explore that volcano. So they're not quite done. To the United Kingdom, suddenly the professor barely able to stand with another toast. All the United Kingdom. So they basically keep toasting and toasting and toasting and toasting and toasting.
Yeah. Then they're like, to the British Navy.
Right? Even the
To the
skippers in the British Navy, right?
to the British Coast Guard. To the British Cub Scouts. Oh, the little lads. Yeah, yes.
Right? It's all British to British to British, right? He didn't convince the guy. This is hilarious. Like he isn't. Of course, he's aloof, so he doesn't really catch on to what they're doing. And there's Mr. Howell drinking straight from the bottle.
Yeah, screw it.
Why waste time? Yeah, might as well cut to the chase. And a toast to this most delightful tasting tea, says the Lord. And look what's left of the castaways, poor things.
Yeah. No, I can see the skipper being able to drink everybody, but Mr. Howell?
And look, at long last, the Pussycat Swallowtail is mine, since Lord Beasley. He finally caught one. And look, so he caught his swallowtail. So he just as promised to the castaways, he shoots his flare gun up into the sky. He's all excited. He's got his collection there in his hand. Butterflies are all rounded up. And just as promised, he rushes over to wake the castaways up to let them know it's time to go. Gilligan, Gilligan.
Uh,
Well, that's the trouble with you Americans, he says. You simply
can't.
don't know how to hold your tea.
Yeah.
And of course, just after he leaves, they start to wake up, and it looks like Skipper has a possible headache. He says, Mr. House says, I feel like I dropped out of a coconut tree. Landed right on the top of my head. Little Gilligan, little buddy, wake up. That's the way I want to be sleeping right there.
Yeah. And Mr. Howell's like, we've only been out for 10 minutes according to my watch. And the professor apparently has a calendar watch and goes, well, according to my calendar watch, we've been out
Yes.
for 2 days and 10 minutes.
Has anyone thought of looking under the table? Of course, no, he's not under the table. And they go to look, and he's not in the hut. You've been asleep only 10 minutes. And of course, just in time to get the radio announcement. And now, directly from London, we bring you an interview with Lord Beasley Waterford, who made a beautiful history today by returning from the South Pacific with a Pussycat Swallowtail, the rarest butterfly in the world.
Yeah.
And they ask him, why are you dressed in that fur-lined parka and carrying that fur-lined butterfly net? Butterfly net? Fur-lined parka, they're wondering. In a moment or two, no matter what, that poor butterfly might be freezing to death.
Yeah. And so much for a so-called butterfly expert. You will never find a butterfly in the Antarctic because the Antarctic average temperature is between 40 degrees to negative 70 degrees Fahrenheit. The
That's exactly
optimal
right.
temperature for butterflies is between 82 and 102 degrees Fahrenheit there. So so that those butterflies they'd either still be caterpillars or in their chrysalises.
Yes. And of course, Beasley's gone without him. And Mr. Howell's like, oh no. And he takes one last sip, and we get our clothes. And the Caspers are lamenting. And there we go, a special guest star John MacGyver as Lord Beasley. And we get our closing song, of course, of famous lyrics. And this concludes our first episode of the night. And we're going to be moving on to the second one next. Let's do that. Without further ado, our next episode we're going to be covering is Hair Today, Gone Tomorrow, which will be season 3, episode 8, and originally broadcast on Monday, December 31st of 1966. So it looks like New Year's Eve night. So for those of you kiddies enjoying New Year's Eve night of 1966, this is what they were able to get. So that'll be nice. Oops. This thing is being a pain again. Sorry, everybody, I hit the wrong button. Let me reestablish communication here. There we go. And let's get our subtitles all ready to go. Number 8. Season episode 8. Okay, got it. And we got our opening credits, thank goodness, which we, once again, and sadly so, we are unable to all sing together and enjoy. And we get a nice. I love the lighting on this shot here. This is excellent. We get a nice uh, introduction of our shot here, and we get our
Yeah,
opening credits.
yeah. So they got the exterior lights on bamboo poles there, But if you'll
Uh huh.
notice that during the day, those poles are gone.
Yes, they are. Fortunate, huh? I guess unless they keep them stored somewhere, and then the castaways pull them out at nighttime. And I'm guessing
Yeah, the
they're
professor
probably
takes
some
care
sort
of
of
that.
oil. Sorry, what's that?
Well, the professor takes care of that.
Well, the professor probably helps them design them, and then he helps makes the oil that is flammable. But Gilligan and Skipper probably do the
No,
labor of actually putting the poles up at night.
well, they do
But
got
that's
natural
on.
gas on the island.
They have established they have natural gas, but is it safe enough to where you can, like run some underground pipes without having to worry about explosions? I'm guessing they would probably, it'd be better. I would make like a flammable oil, which I'm sure would be easy to do on that island because that's what, like for us, we before we had electricity, obviously here on Earth, before electricity was abundant, we had oil and gas lamps. So we had a combination of both. So, like if you were in London or someplace like that, for example, they would have lights and they would have a gas lighter. That's where the term came from. Of the person that would go around at night with a little fire on a stick, and he would reach up and light the gas lamps because they had a running gas line under the streets. But then in some cities they had oil where they would have a little container of oil and then they would reach up and light that. So sometimes it's a combination of both. But I think if it was me, or in my personal opinion, I could be wrong, I think the castaways would probably use oil. And they just have to fill those little containers every so often. And here we are on our. Now, this I thought was a beautiful, nice shot. Now, this is not in the studio. This is obviously outside on the set of the lagoon, and I thought it was really, really, really good lighting.
Yeah. Now, here's the. Did they used to have the laundry up there near the huts?
Yes, they did it, but for some reason, this episode they moved it over to the lagoon. You
Yeah.
are absolutely right.
Now, my issue with this is why is Gilligan the one doing the laundry there when he does all the collecting the wood, getting the pot, getting the food,
Yeah,
and all that stuff? I mean, it's each castaway except for the house. I still haven't figured out what they do, but like the professor, he makes up all their gadgets like the washing machine and the hot air balloons and the radio battery chargers, stuff like that.
right.
Skipper Gilligan build stuff, collect the food and collect the firewood and stuff. And it's supposed to be Marianne and Ginger doing laundry and cooking. Like, why aren't they doing the laundry? That'd be their fair share.
Yes, I totally agree. But for some reason, this week Gilligan's doing the laundry.
Yeah, and really, how much laundry could they really have to keep them busy that tired?
Yeah, unless they really change their clothes a lot, I guess, right? Considering there's only 7 castaways. Gilligan, you've got to cut out this laundry, says the skipper. But I promised them, so for some reason Gilligan promised them, so maybe he owes them like a favor. Gilligan, you do a lot of other things. I mean, you've got to learn how to pace yourself, says the skipper. You're going to get told before your time. You're going to get old before your time, he tells him. And Gilligan can barely, as you can see, he can barely keep his head up. He's so exhausted from doing all the laundry. And Skipper's urging him, you've got to get some sleep. So he personally takes him. The skipper picks him up and puts him in the hammock. I got to remember now. Let's see here. And there the skipper starts blowing out the lights so that Gilligan can get some sleep. And Gilligan, all he's doing, he's been doing so much laundry. He's got laundry on the mind, and he just says, no bleach for the professor's pillow. And he's repeating all the instructions to himself. And we wake up the next day. And it's 5 o'clock. I gotta quit sleeping so late, says Gilligan. And he gets up and we get our reveal.
So he goes to bed about 11, wakes up about 5. Sounds about right.
It's not too bad, right? Unless you're working all day, like from 5 to 11, which he apparently did the night before.
Well, he better get his OSHA rep involved then.
Yes, exactly. And he doesn't quite realize what's going on. He's saying, "Well, I didn't mean to wash your face." He's talking. He thinks he's talking to somebody else. Then he realizes it's himself.
Yeah,
White hair.
yeah. You know, Bob Denver, after the show aired there, his hair actually did turn white, and they actually had to dye it for the movies.
Yes, it's well gray, but yes, it started getting as he was getting older. In fact, he was even adding a little bit of touch up here during the series because he was already in his getting up in his late 60s. Sorry, duh. He was already getting into his 30s there. But yes, as you see, like when we get to when we cover the Gilligan's Island movies, you'll be able to tell that they've added black dye to his hair. Well, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? He laments. No, little white hair doesn't upset me. And of course, Chipper's like, "What's the big deal?" There's no big deal about it. But of course, to Gilligan, it means everything in the world to him. Oh, calm down now. He says, "Maybe we should go see the professor." And they say, "That's a good idea." But Professor, don't you have any idea? And of course, the professor would be the one to ask because he is the one that mixed and helped create whatever soaps that they're using on the island. Well, a man's hair could be turning white, could be caused by lots of things, says the professor. Julian, would you like a little sage advice? He says. Well, certainly, why not? When you see my hair turn white, Gilligan, white hair is simply a hair of another color, says the professor. Right, but as we all know, and the Gilligan professor does mention that it's rare, but hair has been known to turn white overnight. The Rosenwald myth, I don't think it's true. I don't think it's ever been proven to be true. But there's always this myth that if somebody got really scared, it would turn their hair white.
Yeah, I don't know how that all started there with that whole thing.
Right. Give me just a moment. I got to tend to the dogs. I apologize. They're really asking for it tonight.
Well,
I'll
since
be right back.
I'll catch up on chat here because it looks like we got plenty here. Uh, and PvP says then they tore up all the tracks out about 10 years ago and made it walking trail. So much for industry. Well, that's what that's why our railroads switched to semis because they're more convenient. And he says, "LOL, gas to Gilligan's Island." Yeah. Hey, Cam Cam. And Cam Cam says, "We have the rail trail here too. They turned the old beds into trails for walking bikers." Yeah, that's what they did down in Spirit Lake there was turn the old railroad track into uh into actual walking trail like that on the other side there. There's actually a, uh 6 cars that are abandoned on the side on the tracks there beside the highway there. It is on private property, so I can't technically go on there. I suppose I could. Maybe I could do a short video on the abandoned railroad cars that are down there. But no, there's a bunch of abandoned railroad cars that are on the side of the highway. They're real close to a gravel road, so maybe I could sneak onto there and do some filming and stuff. But so that'd be pretty cool there. And PvP says drink too much before you are being rescued and miss the rescue. Classic Gilligan.
Classic
Yep.
Gilligan. That's right. Well, that
Yeah,
time it wasn't just Gilligan's fault. That was everyone's fault.
yeah, blame the professor.
Yeah, it was his idea. If anything, yes.
Yeah, PvP says well organized folders, Pop.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and PvP says gaslighting was honorable way back then. Yeah, not the type of gaslighting we got nowadays.
Yeah, now it's a different. The term has a wholly, completely different meaning, unfortunately.
Yeah. And PvP says, I need Gilligan to do my laundry. Yeah, he can do mine while he's at it, too. Then PvP says, bleach. How would they make bleach? Well, all it is uh, ammonia and I can't remember the other ingredients.
Well, the thing is, it's not necessarily that you have to make bleach. All you have to do is make a chemical that removes color from clothing. Doesn't necessarily have to be bleach. It could be like a natural alternative. They don't really establish whether they use bleach or not anyway in this episode. If I remember right, Gorilla, do you remember? They don't exactly say what turns the hair white, do they, in this episode?
Well, the professor said something about a crude. He called it a crude bleach.
A crude bleach. So there was, yeah, so it was some kind of homemade island recipe. It
Yeah,
sounds
so
like.
basically he made some ammonia, whatever the other ingredient is, and mixed them together. So
Okay.
so he could either so he could easily make bleach or he could easily make mustard gas.
Oh, yeah, we don't want the mustard gas. No way.
Yeah. And PvP says I have distinguished silver streaks, still mostly black. Yeah, I got some distinguished gray in my hair too. My sister reminds me of it every time she cuts my hair.
I remember, and I don't know why, but this reminds me of when I was a teacher. Because I mentioned this kind of, you guys have heard me mention it before when I was a teacher that I would sit in the lunchroom sometimes with the other teachers. So there would be like 98% women and 2% men or 1% men sitting in the lunchroom. And there was this one teacher where they were talking about streaks of color in their hair. And I remember she had like a reddish hair, obviously dyed. It was like a reddish color that was dyed. And she goes, "Oh, well, normally when I don't have my hair dyed, I have this beautiful white streak that runs along across the top of my head. And it's so beautiful. What a beautiful. She kept going on how beautiful it was. And I was thinking, who in their right mind does that and talks about themselves like that? That was, now what we're talking about is like 30 years ago, but it was so odd. I still remember. She kept going on how beautiful her streak of hair was. And I'm thinking, who talks about themselves like that? I don't know. I never figured it out. But anyway, that's me. I'm a very modest person and I don't brag about myself like that because I think vanity is a very ugly, horrible thing. So, anyway, are you done with the chat? Are we ready to move along?
Oh, we got more here.
Thank you,
Well,
sir.
Gorilla are known for the silverbacks.
That they are.
Yeah, Pop says she was a narcissist, Pop.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I would
Uh,
not deny that.
all right, let's get her going here.
All right. There is nothing shocking about white hairs as a professor. Now, Gilligan,
Oh, oh.
Gilligan, right? They said that just to prove it, and there's nothing wrong with it. Go show the girls. Ah, the dogs. I apologize, guys. Rocky, wait your turn. I just fed them, so they have to wait their turn to eat. So, so they said the girls will be fine. We'll show you. Go show them and see how they react. And this is when he introduced himself to Marianne, and she sees him for the first time with the white hair. A little bit of shocker. I think she wasn't quite prepared for that. And he's like, Marianne, Marianne. And just as he does that, here comes Ginger, and she sees him as well.
Yeah, I think this is only the third time we've actually seen Ginger faint there.
Very rare, yes, very rare.
And Marianne, this is only the second time Marianne faints. Because yeah, Ginger was wrong with Feltman in the ship of hoax there. Mary Ellen was the second Ginger Grant.
Yes, yes, that's true. It means he has white hair? You mean it? Well, I'm virtually certain, says the professor. And here's where Gilligan is returning, and he overhears from outside the hut. Yes, would you mind telling me that in English? There
Yeah,
is disease. Professor is mentioning that by slight chance there is a disease, but it's very unlikely. It causes some people to age overnight.
yeah. They're thinking of some rare tropical disease.
Correct. And it said, "You mean we could be? He could be an old man of 60," says the skipper. More likely a very old man of 98. And it's like, oh, this is not what we want poor Gilligan to hear. And I know the clips didn't make it look right, but Gilligan was not happy to hear that. So he's walking away sulking. He grabs one of the bamboo poles and he's using it as a cane. And now suddenly he's walking like an old man just based on what he heard. And now's where Skipper's trying to convince him that what you heard is the wrong thing. And of course, Gilligan thinks that he's old, so he's going to act and dress like that he's old. But you could stop calling me Sonny. Of course, he's calling Skipper Sonny. But I had to try and find the professor. So here's where they get all the castaways together, and they're trying to cheer Gilligan up, uh, letting him know that it's not permanent. So what they establish is just don't look him in the eye. Just tell him how go on like it's a normal everyday, and then just have a normal conversation, but don't stare at him. Gilligan asked me to gather you all together, so Gilligan has something to tell them, and they're talking about being eligible for Medicare. And we must humor him, says the professor. This is what I was talking about. Don't stare at him. Don't act like you're shocked. Just humor him.
Eh. All right. So I got a question there. Where
Yes,
did
sir.
Rocket Chair all of a sudden come from? And he had some pair of reading glasses. Where did they all of a sudden come
Yeah, I
from?
know, right? Instantly, it looks like somebody built that rocking chair. I'm guessing Gilligan must have made it for himself because the other castaways are not encouraging him to act like an old man. So he had to make it for himself. And I'm not sure about the glasses yet. I gathered everybody together, Pop. Unfortunately, even Skipper's forgetting, and he accidentally calls Gilligan Pop. Well,
Uh,
I won't bore you with any old man's company, he says. I'm guessing he got those glasses from Mrs. Howell. But of course, we have not seen that. That's not established. That's not on camera. It's not canon. I'll get right to the point. So he's reading to them. I've gathered you all here. I've gathered you all to have you hear my will, says Gilligan. Don't
yeah,
be ridiculous.
yeah. So the girls get his jewelry there, and they apparently Gilligan went to a girls' school, the Academy for Girls there, and he blames it on his mother there for uh leaving him in curls too long. Oh man, I so trying to make a comment, but I can't. But hey, it's kind of funny. He left
Sorry,
the
what's that?
house. What?
I said, sorry, what's that? I had to do something for the dog real quick.
Well, I
What
was
was that?
talking
I
about
missed
how
it.
they about his ring there going to a girls' school there, and because
Oh,
Bob
okay.
left him in curls too long. By biting my tongue on making any further comments because
Oh, okay.
it's your stream at Gilligan's Island. But
It is,
yeah,
but it is the 60s, guys.
yeah. I was kind of surprised. He left his comic book collection to the Howells there, and they said they're gonna have him wrapped in leather. I was like, I'm kind of surprised. Well, that's one of those like. Do you think back in the 60s and 70s they would ever think that comic books would have been worth as much as some of them are worth today?
No, they had no idea. And that's why so many parents foolishly made their kids dispose of them. Oh, what a tragedy. There were so many wonderful, wonderful comic
Yeah.
books.
Now just think
I loved them.
some parents might have might have had how much they're beating themselves up there with they threw away some of those rare comic books like that number one Spider-Man issue that's like worth like 3 million. They'll
Yeah,
someone buy for $3 million, and they had all these couple extra ones, and then they made their kids throw them out. You just think that,
yeah.
man.
The number one Superman comic book, my goodness, is worth a lot of money. Oops, sorry about that. And you're right. This is as Gorilla was saying. Gilligan gives the Howells his comic book collection, and they say, "Well, we'll have them leather bound." And as any of us knows here in today's day and age, that would have ruined them. Obviously, the smartest thing to do with comic books is to seal them in
Well,
airtight plastic and keep them in a dark area.
well, the way Mr. House said it is like, oh, great. We got a bunch of comic books and that useless comic books now. It, and I was laughing there when he said he'd leave Skipper his laundry business and one extra starch lost sock.
Right. Poor Skipper. The
Uh,
bleach and one unclaimed sock.
yeah, and that joke could have been taken so many different ways there with that. Then the professor gets his body.
All right. The professor, as you said, I leave him my last possession. I mean, this is ridiculous, Gilligan. This is where he tells him about his body. But please, please, my will is final, he says. And of course, they're all arguing because they're trying to say, no, 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 Gilligan. But he's thinking they're fighting over the will. And he says, no sense in by fighting over his legacy, they say. And then it says, of course, when he sits back in the chair, I want to try to cover that joke. Gilligan sits down in the chair, and unfortunately, it's on Skipper's foot. Of course, he even does that even when he's sitting down. He lands on Skipper's foot, but Skipper almost takes his hat off and hits Gilligan with it, but he refrains himself. And he's saying that you'll find me at the senior citizen home. And we have later that evening we have the girls in their hut, and they're trying to come up with an idea to snap Gilligan out of his depression. And even Ginger suggests, what about a transfusion? But of course, as we all know,
Yeah.
that's not going to make somebody younger. I'm sure there's a lot of people, old people, that wish it would, but no, a transfusion will not make somebody younger.
Yeah, they can filter the toxins out of the blood, but that's your kidney's job, ain't it?
Yes, it is your kidney job. The only time they give somebody a blood transfusion is if it's an emergency and they obviously need it. But like for example, if my age, let's say if I'm whatever my age is, and I get a transfusion from Gorilla, that's not going to make me his age. So right, that's just fantasy, obviously, we all know.
Yeah.
So now they're trying to figure out how to cheer him up, and what's the best way to do it. What's the best way to get to a man? So here's where we have Marianne trying to flirt with them.
And this is like the one time here that we actually get to see Marianne with her hair down.
Yes, and she looks striking, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Becky Gilligan. Or you make me feel young and alive. And of course, they're using all these words on him, hoping you'll help him feel better. And he says, please, I remind you of your father. And it's like, no, that's not what she meant. Oh, I do. You only searching to give him a kiss. Can you imagine? I think my arteries are hardening, he says. And she's like, oh, that's not working. So here we are. Now they're trying to come up with an idea. We have the Professor Skipper and Mrs. Howell trying to figure out what to do. Gilligan is just too young to be old. I'm sorry, Skipper. Of all people, says Mrs. Howell. Oh, naturally, I've never had to dye my hair. But all the women who do feel much younger, she says. So she comes up with a wonderful idea of dyeing Gilligan's hair. Might be a good idea. I can get the ingredients from vegetable coloring, says the professor, which is totally true. Great. Now we'll wait until later tonight. So I guess they're going to try to do it while he's asleep. He wakes up in the morning with brown hair, so they're all excited. Their ideas should work, and he'll be like a brand new young man, she says. Because if he says to me once more, look both ways before you cross the street, Sonny, I'll.
And he hits the professor.
Well, he didn't quite hit him, but the professor did duck for cover.
Oh, come on, the hat can't hurt that much.
No, of course it doesn't. And like I said, everybody, I'll say it before and I'll say it again. I've been blessed by getting hit on the head with from the skipper's hat, so that's something I will always cherish. Gilligan, Gilligan. Now he's checking on to make sure he's asleep. Are you awake? Come on in, he says to the others. Here comes Mrs. Howell all decked out, ready to do hair.
Yeah, she's like, don't touch me, I'm sterile.
Right, like it's an operation of some sort. Please, let's get on with it, they say. So there we go. And we cut to the next day as time passes. Oh, it's a mite early, isn't it? Skipper wakes up all nice and cheerful and bright. I have a hunch it's going to be a beautiful day. Well, might as well take advantage. And as he sits there, we have Gilligan get out of the bed and walk over. Of course, they're hiding his face. You know, there may have been some changes during the night, says the skipper, trying to talk positively. And Gilligan takes off his hat. Oh, no.
And the professor accidentally created Dare.
Yes, he accidentally did create a hair remover.
Yeah, Dare.
Skipper, I'm bald. I'm bald.
Now, did they actually shave his head down for that, or is that just a
Yeah,
bald cap?
I'm surprised you asked me that. Yeah, it was clearly a bald cap. You could see the lines around where the spirit gum had it glued to his head.
Because his head just looks like the same size it normally is. That's why I was wondering.
Oh, well, it's easy to get it down, especially when he doesn't have a lot of hair. But it's easy to pat. Okay, let's say you, Gorilla. Let's say that I'm the makeup guy, right? I'm going to put a skinhead wig. They call them skinhead wigs. And I want to put one on you. What I would do instead of taking, by the way, they were made out of latex. And instead of just putting that over your head and gluing it down, what, Pooch? Instead of just putting it on your head, just a moment.
Okay, he's taking care of that there. Cam says, so beautiful she dyes it. Well, Mrs. Howell says claims she doesn't dye it, but she knows people who does there. And PvP says, I have a granddad with white hair. I thought it looked fine. Yeah, white hair is not that bad there. And PvP said, had I meant he's been gone many years. There. The PvP says a transfusion from a gorilla. Would that make me a gorilla? No, mixing
No,
Canadian blood and mixing oh shoot.
well, it looks like we're both having an eventful evening tonight, Gorilla. So a transfusion from Gorilla, would that make me a gorilla? No, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but it would not. Sorry about that, PvP. And PvP says, would I start climbing trees and crave bananas? Well, that would be nice. It sounds like I could crave banana. It could be a lot worse, but unlikely. All right, so here we go again. I can hear what you're saying. So, of course, Gilligan is severely depressed now, even to the point of being upset. So he's so embarrassed he's got his head covered with a blanket. I'm ashamed of myself. I feel naked, he says. Take that blanket off your head, says Skipper. Skipper, does it hurt much to kill yourself? But of course, he's not going to have any of that conversation. I don't want to hear that come out of your mouth again, says the Skipper. Yes, sir. There's a lot of nice looking fellows in the world that are bald. Name one. And this is funny because this is an actor that they mention that us older guys, we remember. We remember. He says, Yul Brynner. And he says, I couldn't get, see if I can get the slide. I can't really. There it is. Well, there's Yul Brynner. And as we all know, he's the actor, the bald guy from the Ten Commandments, from Westworld, from The King and I, and all that kind of stuff. A magnificent Russian actor. Well, there's Yul Brynner. Name another. Well, now Skipper seems to be hard pressed to come up with another name. Now, what do we see in the mirror? So he's trying to convince Gilligan to accept his fate. And I don't know where Gorilla went, but this is what I was going to point out. Now that we have high definition TVs, you can clearly see the line around Bob Denver's forehead there, where the skinhead wig meets the actual skin. You can see where the color of the makeup doesn't quite match. It's a good job though, but not quite perfect. Well, the rest of us see something else, says Skipper. A nice personality. Yeah, I guess maybe I do have some boyish charm, says Gilligan. Well, you're loaded with it. There he is. Now he's got a little bit of confidence back. It helps that he's got his hat. They'll help hide it, so at least he's got a smile on his face. So that's always a good thing. Welcome back, Gorilla.
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, can I finish the chat real quick?
Go for it.
PvP.
Oh, I did.
The one. Yeah, I responded to him in the chat there.
The last one I read was, would I start climbing trees and crave bananas?
Yeah, that put me right back because the girl's cable come unplugged again. Yep, and it said, and I put in the chat, mixing Canadian blood and gorilla blood would make baboon blood. And PB says, not sure if I've been insulted. And PvP says the wig color definitely does not match.
Definitely not. Yeah, when you stepped away for a moment, Gorilla, there was a scene that you and I had just been talking about. Okay, yeah, that you and I had just been talking about how the latex doesn't really match, and this is what I was trying to say. Now, I hopefully my dogs won't disturb me again. But essentially, when the makeup artist puts the skinhead wig on you, they don't just put it on your head and glue it down. What they'll do is they'll put a little bit of oil in your hair and mix that oil in, and that's what will help flatten your hair. And then once the hair is down flat, then they'll put on the skinhead wig and then put it down with some spirit gum, which is what they used to call the stuff they would, or they still call that stuff, I guess. It's still the same name. Spirit gum's what they would use. And he goes to show Marianne because, of course, after Skipper spent all that time building up his confidence, he goes to show Marianne, and this is what she does.
Oh,
and guess who's coming along next?
And in all fairness, there, Gilligan does look like a pinhead.
A pinhead in what term, or in what?
Well, I've known a lot of bald guys that people just call them. They said they're pinheads now, just the white bald heads.
Okay, I hadn't heard that myself. Thank you.
It might be a Midwestern thing.
They won't even notice. So here he is. Of course, they won't even notice. He says, "It's like, yeah, right. So you sure? I am positive." So now he's trying to tell them to show it to the Howls, but of course the professor's warning her and telling her to be prepared to act like you don't even notice. No funny looks now, no funny remarks. I just turn away. He said, if you feel like it's overwhelming, just turn away. And there they are. Even the professor can't control himself. Nice day, isn't it? Of course they're talking, but they're going. It's very, very noticeable of them trying to avoid looking at Gilligan.
Yeah.
Gilligan is trying to get their attention, I'm trying to say hello and look out. Like it's funny how they're reacting.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Mrs. Howell was the obvious one. They just kept looking away there. Then she made Then she makes, oh, it must have been the sun in my eyes. Yeah, reflect. We make this joke with Vile Mike all the time, where yeah, the sun just reflected off his bald head there. And she goes,
And here you can see a little bit of crease of the rubber above uh, Mr. Denver's ear. What do you say we all go and have some breakfast, says the professor. And of course, immediately, I'll have a hard boiled egg. A hard boiled egg. A hard boiled
yeah.
egg.
Oh, that reminds me of the uh, Picard there called broccoli there because the whole crew was making that joke instead of calling it Barkley behind his back there called it broccoli there. Then Picard actually said it directly to him accidentally. Yeah,
So they were doing it to tease him.
yeah, because it's Wesley there started that joke and the whole crew kind of went along with. They called him broccoli
Okay.
behind his back there, but Picard accidentally said it was reprimanding the yelling at the crew to tell that they'll be shown no respect and all that. That he accidentally calls him broccoli.
I Yeah, I remember I severely disliked that episode. That's something I thought that's something that a crew would not do in Star Trek. Can you imagine that on TOS? They would never do that.
Well,
And I remember really, really hated that episode.
I can see Bones or Spock like jiving each other playfully like that, but not behind the
Well,
back.
every now and then, Bones might make a comment about Spock's ears, but you wouldn't have the crew all making fun of somebody behind their back.
Yeah,
And
they'll
I
say it
really
right to
didn't.
their
I
face.
hated that episode.
Yeah, they'd be saying it to their face.
They wouldn't say it at all. Is my point. Not in
Yeah.
TOS. They're not that juvenile. It's bad writing. It's bad writing. So here we have back in we have Skipper and Gilligan's hut, and it looks like we have a note here from Gilligan with very nice handwriting, I may say. It's from him, all right, says Skipper. Dear Skipper, I'm going to go away so nobody has to look at me. I am funny looking even to me, he says, because I'm hiding in a place you would never think of looking. In the secret cave near the two palm trees and the pimento bush. I think he means palmetto, says the skipper, or says the professor. So it's like Gilligan saying it's like it's a secret place, but he practically gives them directions to it. And Skipper's or Professor's trying to figure out that it has something to do with that brown dye that he made. Come on, Professor, says Skipper. I mean, we all agreed it was a thing to do. There must be a reasonable, logical, sensible approach we can use. So here we have Gilligan in the cave, and he's reading by candlelight, and we have looks like he has a visitor. Here comes Ginger. Well, what do you want, Ginger? Well, says Well, Gilligan, she says. This is very sweet of her. She brought him some of her own wigs. Looks like she trimmed them down, and she's offering him as an alternative, which is a great idea. To make this for you, it's a wig, she says. Ginger, you shouldn't have done that. But then this way you wouldn't have to wear your hat all the time, she says, which is a very good idea. Try it on. Okay, but you got to shut your eyes first. Of course, it does look a little goofy. He says, I look like your sister. My sister happens to be a very beautiful girl. And now here's where Marianne has her suggestion. And Gilligan doesn't want to even see it, but she says, you might as well at least take a look at it. So this is what Marianne made him out of a coconut.
Yeah.
Let me see. Hey, that's pretty neat. Here, try it on.
The ugliest possible thing that they could could have designed it out of, and it's Gilligan's favorite so far.
That's right. It's Gilligan's favorite. Oh, they're. He says, "Oh, now close your eyes. Oh, they're
Yeah.
closed."
Hey, hey, have a good night, Cam Cam. Hey, if you haven't voted my poll, make sure to do that there, so we can break our tie.
Yeah. Take care, Cam Cam. Have a good night. Or you'll probably be. I think I already. You'll probably be. I can't catch the joke. That's right. Once again, guys, we encourage you to watch this on your own because there's so many jokes we're missing because we have to skip through these slides. So I highly recommend you see it on your own.
Well, basically, Marianne says, "I believe you'll be the most popular person on the island," and and Gilga's like, "I think I already am." And that's when he pokes up. There's a woodpecker there. And then he goes, "A coconut
Yes.
pecker?"
All right. Meanwhile, later that evening, back at the hut, it looks like we have Skipper rolling around, waking up and getting out of his hammock. And it looks like he's going to turn the light on. Oh boy, it must be terrible to be bald. He's feeling sorry for Gilligan, now realizing that look what happened to him.
Yeah. Now I gotta say, he looks good, Ball. Oh, and I really, really wanted him to say, "Hey, the best I can do is $50,"
Best I could do is
because
keep it.
he looks exactly like what's his face on Pawn Stars. Rick, I think it's Rick. He looks exactly like Rick on Pawn Stars.
Oh, but they wouldn't know that back in the 60s.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's the joke though. Though for today is yeah, the best I can do is $50.
I gotta go out and talk some sense into that bald head of his, he says.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing.
And then he,
He
go ahead.
didn't know he didn't notice it was gone when he ran his head on his head there. He only notices it when his hat's there falls
Yes,
down over his eyes.
yes, he puts on the hat, and now he's realizing that his hat no longer fits, keeps sliding down, and he tries it again and again, but the hat keeps sliding. Now he realizes he feels that he's bald, and he looks in the mirror. I'm completely bald,
Uh,
and he goes to join Skipper in his pity party. I mean, Gilligan in his pity party. Oh,
now,
Skipper, you shouldn't have done that for me.
yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
Is this the scene that he makes the reference to there to get the get what was it Gabber sisters,
Gabor.
Gabor sisters,
Right, and you remember who they are, right? When I told you in that last episode.
Eva and Zessa Gabor,
What's that?
Eva and Zessa.
No, no, it's Eva Gabor and Zsa Zsa Gabor.
Oh, the Jaza. Well, it's
Right,
spelled with a Z.
Zsa Zsa. She's the one that was in the right. The Gilligan's Island episode, right? As Tiffany.
Oh, okay.
Right, and they mention her here now in this episode. So I thought I like that they brought that up. So we saw her Zsa Zsa in a guest appearance as Tiffany, and now they actually mention her and her sister. Well, don't worry, that's not so bad being bald. Yeah, take it from Skip Gilligan. He's already getting used to it. A man can be nice looking without hair. You look like two-thirds of a pawn shop sign, says Skipper, which is hilarious.
Yeah,
He said it
especially the
wouldn't be.
reference I made. Especially with the reference I made there.
Yeah, now if you guys are wondering what he means by a pawn shop sign, I'm guessing with a pawn shop sign because this was the 60s. And it may have been common back then for them to show maybe perhaps billiard balls or pins, billiard pins. I'm not really sure, so I didn't quite get the joke either. Where it said two-thirds of a palm shop sign. Sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied. That's right. We don't want anybody feeling sorry for us, so we're going to stay right here. But along comes the professor. Aha! This has nothing to do with pity. We need you, he says. Do you believe that between the two of you, lighting the signal fires, keeping watch, and all this. He's telling them they can't do without them and their duties. Look at us. And it looks like the professor has these boxes for them. And he has his own idea. And he's got these special wigs that he got from the house. They're my hiding because I am bald. Well, all right, Professor, we'll give it a try. And they say, but they look like George or Marshall Washington. He said, we'll come back and you'll be just in time for dinner. And here's where they argue over which hat gets which. I'll be George and you be Martha. You're right.
Now,
George was taller.
now I got a question.
Go for it.
Why didn't they just reuse the wigs that they used in the mosquitoes episode, or that whole trunk full of wigs that washed up on shore that Gilligan fished out of the lagoon?
I don't know.
Just
Or they could have.
saying. I know the whole thing was meant for the joke of the episode, but it's just fun pointing out that stuff.
That's fine.
Yeah, and here they decided that they're going to move the whole communal table in front of the supply hut.
Yes, they said it's a good spot to have dinner tonight, isn't it? And
Yeah,
there's those torches again. We've got to make them feel at ease, says the professor. Here they come. Here, of course, they come in. And in my opinion, it doesn't matter if it's George or Martha's wig. I can't tell one from the other. And then, in fact, they can't either say that's George, he's Martha. And they even get him confused. And I'm the skipper, and that's Gilligan. Well, gentlemen, it's nice to have you back, says the professor. That must be Martha's wig right there, I'm guessing. Yeah, that's right.
yeah.
Gilligan does have Martha's wig. Yes, sir. Right, Mr.
Well,
House. Sorry,
well,
go
the
ahead.
beehive is obviously the woman's wig.
Yes. So this is what happened when Gilligan or when Skipper tries to reach for something on the table. Face the table, says Gilligan. I am facing the table. It's just it's my hair that's turned around. Well, that reminds me of a funny story. Oh, tell it, Ginger. We could use a bit of humor. Well, it happened in San Francisco. There was this convention of bald-headed men, she says. Oops. Hadn't we better eat our soup before it gets cold? You're so very right, Marianne, says Skipper. I think enough in humor has been interjected into this conversation. And then finally, Skipper just takes off the wig. Don't you think that's funny, do you, Gilligan? Because Gilligan's laughing. Well, let me show you something even funnier, says the skipper, and he stands up and he takes off Gilligan's wig as well and puts it in his food. Oh, Thurston, my napkin.
And he decides he's going to get it.
Right. Mrs. Howell accidentally drops her napkin under the table, and Mr. Howell goes to retrieve it. And as we see here, looks like he's got a burn spot on his pants. Oh, Thurston, your trousers. I'm going to sue him for a decent exposure, says the professor, says Mr. Howell. And you mean that? So this is where the professor's starting to piece it together. So you use that same bleach on the clothing, and they said yes. And that what made Gilligan's hair fall out? Exactly. And when you took over the laundry, your hair fell out. Believe me, Skipper, nature will soon return. So the good news is the professor's telling them that their hair will return, and it's just a temporary effect. What Gilligan's laundry business took away, time should bring back. And then Gilligan says, I just remembered that he had used that same bleach on some of their clothing. So he up and grabs a blanket and puts it around Ginger.
And that's why they're from the supply hut. And
Right.
there goes her only dress. Too bad Gilligan was decided to be a gentleman.
Right. Yeah. Too bad, huh? Isn't that a shame?
You
Or
know,
we
they
could
they could have totally gotten by with it instead of Gilligan running and grab the blanket. That like they all suddenly they pan to the ground there, and all of a sudden you see the dress fall on the ground, but and hear Ginger screaming, but you wouldn't still wouldn't
screaming.
see anything.
That might have been a little too shocking for the young audiences at the time. I think they
Okay,
handled it better this way in taste,
okay.
especially with this, if screaming would have sounded almost like she was traumatized. And I've been telling you both for weeks and weeks now, says this professor. This was after tongue tied again. Was of such vast proportions, saturated the scalp follicles. Never mind, Gilligan. So he's trying to convince him everything's okay, and it's been a couple weeks. And then he said, "Don't worry, give it a little more time." And he's been repeating it long enough, over and over. And they turned around and look what happened. So it looks like they've got a little more experimenting to do with their formulas. And of course, the professor. I love that look on his face. And we have our closing theme song. This is the tale about castaways. And music composed and conducted by the wonderful Gerald Fried, of course, as we all know and love. Like Robinson Crusoe, as primitive as can be. There we go. So that concludes another two episodes of the wonderful Gilligan's Island. I hope you all enjoyed yourself tonight. So tell me, Gorilla, between those two episodes, which one would you say you enjoyed the most?
Here today, here gone tomorrow. Just because it seemed more realistic and funnier there. The Lord's Beasley one, it, it became kind of obnoxious with that Beardsley guy. You know, good actor,
Uh-huh.
but the episode was a little obnoxious, especially with the Pussycat Swallowtail. It's like I just wanted to start drinking like every time they said it.
I don't know how, but somehow we got our avatar switched. Now I'm behind bars, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Looks like I'm the one in
Well,
the
that's because I
trees.
dropped out. I was first one in tonight,
Oh,
and
that's right.
then I dropped out.
That's true. That's true. It's okay. I don't mind being in the trees tonight. So, Gorilla, anything else you'd like to add, or would you like to tell us about your channel?
Well, well, right now I got a poll going on in my chat on my channel there for next which franchise will start. I'll reveal that on Saturday at our Gattaca at the Gattaca watch for review.
Uh
And
huh.
right now it's tied with Lord of the Rings and Super Troopers, so with 10 votes in. We got 11 people watching, but we only got 10 votes. But
All right, guys, you hear that? Get in there and vote.
yeah, but otherwise, tomorrow we are watching the Ed Myers film Up. Then next week we are watching Ghostbusters 2016 for Good Stock, and there's a reason for that.
Ooh, wow! You guys are really asking for it, aren't you?
Oh well, there's a reason for that.
And that reason is,
The new Ghostbusters movie is coming out next week, so
oh
I'm
no, I know that. I don't know that. I know that, but it's like, wow, what could justify watching Ghostbusters 2016? I will tell you this: good luck, sir, and I hope you come out the other end.
well, it is a cringe stock, but
Yes,
the
it
reason I
is.
picked that one is because everybody's gonna be looking up Ghostbusters next week on YouTube, looking for
Okay.
reviews and stuff. So ride the algorithm
Yep. There you go. Good idea. Good idea.
there.
I'd rather see you do it as a cringe stock review than as a hate review. Where you know what I'm talking about? Where they have those reviews where all they do is talk about how they went to see a movie so nobody else has to,
Oh
and
no,
how
we're
bad it
gonna
is,
watch.
and all that.
We're just gonna watch it and have fun mocking it. That's the
Exactly.
whole.
That's what I mean. That's why I like your cringe stocks instead of the hate reviews.
Yeah. I mean, granted, they're painful to watch by yourself, you know, but they're fun to sit there with friends and mock it, and you know, and stuff. So it's always a hoot. hoot
I
there.
may, I may, if I take enough pain pills, I might be there to join you.
Well, if you mix your pain pills and booze, don't do it. Don't do it. But if you mix your pain pills and booze, it helps you go further.
One or
But
the other. Maybe I could be either or. Maybe I will do the booze instead. That sounds like a good idea. Are you going to drink that night?
more likely. But
Well, maybe I'll join you. Maybe I may imbibe with a few as well.
I might start putting up my my tip link there. Hopefully it starts selling shots here. So,
Okay, yeah, good idea.
but anyhow, then on Friday there for the Waltons review, we're reviewing the first day. It's John Boy's first day of college.
Oh,
So
finally. Okay, very cool.
apparently he got out of the hospital real fast there with after being shot. But
That's right. He recovered very quickly.
yeah, then Saturday is review Gattaca. Then on Sunday we're waiting on the poll for that one. But Justified again next week. So
Okay,
can we catch up on chat real quick before we get to yours?
great idea. Thank you. And Bow, quick reminder, everybody, if you haven't done so, vote in the poll. I did put a poll in there in the chat, and vote with that, and we'll cover the results here really soon. Go ahead, Gorilla. Thank you.
Hey, I didn't see the F for the poll there, so I can give it. No, I'm kidding.
No, I'm afraid not this time.
Yeah, and PvP says Lord of the Rings and Super Troopers are tied in Gorilla's community page. Go vote, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're getting pancakes and chocolate, I think.
Ooh.
No, bacon. We're getting Hey, have you
Even
ever had
better.
bacon pancakes?
Not bacon with. I mean, I've had bacon on the side, but not bacon. You mean bacon in the pancake?
Yes.
No, I've not tried that.
Oh, it's delicious. It may not sound it, but it's delicious there. I get they sell real cheap the bacon bits, at Walmart
Yeah.
there. They got like
Oh, but yeah,
the
you don't want to buy those bacon bits that are in those little plastic bottles. Those are just,
no 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 no
they're
no
not
no
even
no no
real.
no. They're bacon tips or cutlets or
Oh,
what.
okay, gotcha. Yeah.
You know how they shape and form the bacon for the
Yeah.
to the 1 pound packages that this is all the leftover stuff that they just dice up and throw into a bag. It's about
Got it.
two-thirds meat, 1/3 fat. But
Gotcha.
yeah, you
Okay.
just take some of that there, throw it into your bacon batter, then cook it along with the pancake there.
So it does sound. Bacon, my goodness, can go with almost anything, right?
Yeah.
I don't
Eh,
think I've ever met anybody who doesn't like bacon. Well, I guess some vegetarians out there, but bacon, bacon, bacon. I can go with anything. It's
yeah,
absolutely a
and
wonderful dish.
I'll refrain from making my joke there because it's not YouTube appropriate.
Okay.
I'll tell it to you after the stream there. They
All
said
right.
broccoli better on a plate. Then PvP says if I started going bald, I'd shave it all off and go for the Mr. Clean look. I'd have to be very careful which ear I put the earring in though.
Oh,
Uh yeah, but doing that can go two different ways. Either it looks really good, or you look a lot like those guys who march around down south in certain uniforms. It just seems to be that way. And Cam says, "Thanks, gents. I gotta be up super early to go to the dentist. Take it easy,
all right.
everybody."
Ooh,
Thank
okay. Well, good luck.
yeah. And PvP says, "I hope Rings wins, as I've never seen those before." We'll make sure they'll win one of these days. That PvP says, "Hey, Kojak was cool. Who loves you, baby?"
That's right. Brothers, old geezer. We remember who Kolchak is.
And Other Greg says, "I bet you are right about the pawn shop joke. I had no clue about that. Good job, Pop."
Oh, thanks.
And PvP says, Gabor was beautiful in Green Aces
Green
or
Acres,
Green
and yes,
Acres.
she was. Yes, she was. Even after that, for many years, she really held her beauty.
And PvP says, "I always thought it had that it's odd that bald guys that look fine would get awful hair pieces that look goofy."
Yes, they look better. Exactly. Just shave it all off because nothing is more ridiculous than a guy with a hairpiece or toupee. That is just. Well, actually, even a woman, sometimes they can put those on and they really stand out and they look foolish. But, to each
Well,
their own.
Patrick Stewart looked really nuts with his looked really weird with his toupee on when he went to go audition for Next
Yes.
Generation. He brought his toupee there, and it's like, and the only reason that they didn't have him wear it, like, it's the 21st century. No one cares if you're bald. Okay.
Well, why even hire a guy who's bald just so they can put on a hairpiece? I mean, what's the point?
Well, why hire English guy with an English accent to play a French character?
Yeah, exactly. That
Yeah.
I don't know. You're preaching to the choir. It didn't make any of that. None of that made sense to me as well.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, but they had two different. It's kind of cool to look at the two different mindsets. One group was saying they'd have a cure for baldness by the 21st century. The other half is like, it's the 21st century. Who cares if they're bald? But anyhow, we're
That's
getting off
right.
topic. And it's getting a little late here. And Cam says pawn shops have three brass balls as a symbol. Thought it originates from the Medici family.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
It says, and PvP says, Cam, I did an essay on the Medicis in art history. It focused on Lorenzo, who was a great patron to artists in that era. They were a fascinating family. Oh,
Oh,
cool.
okay.
I never even heard of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Medicis family or
That,
whatever.
that's very interesting.
I always thought the Medicis would make a great movie or TV series. Oh, I'm pretty sure they have it out there. I'm pretty sure that someone already made the movie there. Maybe it's The Godfather. LOL. PvP loves the beers, and he voted for the second one. And Cody guy, the man of many words, said, "Have a good one." You too there.
Thank you, Cody guy.
Yeah, and thank you, Cam, for voting. But he says Chris tomorrow will be safe. I was almost afraid to recommend it, but Gorilla gave it a pass.
Okay.
So join us tomorrow if you can, Pop.
I will do my best. I will try to be there.
Yeah, Cam says he voted. Thank you for that. And PvP says I love bacon.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what's your vote there, Pops?
My vote is I have to. Yeah, I do agree. I did. Actually enjoyed both of them extremely well. But if I had to choose, which is a difficult choice for me, yes, it would be the second one. I enjoyed it as well. Here today, gone tomorrow. I thought it was a great episode. It was nice to see the way they interacted with the jokes. These days, I'm sure there'd be a lot of people offended because of the way they portrayed bald people, but I don't really care what people think these days, honestly. So yeah, amazing episode, funny. I love the castaways. I like the performances. I like the writing. It's up very, very, very. I'm very fond of this episode. I remember it even as a kid. And as far as my stream, please join us. We will be back Saturday night, 6 p.m. Mountain Time with Rumblings from the Lab. Then we'll be back Sunday with another classic episode of Lost in Space. And that'll be also 6 p.m. Mountain Time. And then finally, Tuesday, I definitely will be there. I absolutely 100% promise. I will be there at 6 p.m. Mountain Time for uh, the Revenge of Frankenstein. I'm sorry to get that. I have all these Frankenstein titles in my head. I'm trying to remember. But yeah, we're basically getting the sequel to that first Hammer or Frankenstein movie. And I urge you, if you can be there to join us for that, I think you'll have a wonderful, wonderful time. And I really appreciate you all for being here tonight. Wonderful turnout, amazing chat as usual. And now I'm going to go in and we're going to share the results of our poll. Of course, my computer's got to be super slow, so I have to redraw.
Yeah.
But is there anything you want to add here before we close this up tonight, Gorilla?
Well, welcome TVB. He just popped into the chat. He says, "Hey, Pops,
Oh,
hope you've been well."
yes, I'm doing much better. Thank you. Good to see you.
Yeah, we're just closing up TVB.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We just completed these two episodes here, and I'm getting ready to share the results of the poll with everybody. And here we go. Okay, so the results of the poll are in, and which episode did you enjoy most? And it looks like, oh, the majority agree with us. 63% with Hair Today, Gone Tomorrow. And it looks like 36% with Man with a Net, with a total of 11 votes from the poll. If I could stop being tongue twisted. All right, and thank you guys for voting. Thank you so much for the interaction. If you have not done so, maybe consider hitting the like button on this, and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. Click the alert buttons, notifications, so that you know next time we have another wonderful stream. And I believe we've covered everything for tonight. Like I said, tomorrow, remember, I'll be back. If not sooner, you guys will see me obviously around other channels. But if not sooner, then I will see you all on the Saturday night rumblings from the lab, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Is there anything you want to say, Gorilla, before we say good night, everyone?
Nope.
Okay, then, good night, everybody. Drive safe, stay warm, and have a wonderful evening. I really did truly miss you, and like I said, it is so good to be back. If I could find the right thing here.